Good morning. Should your business buy a building in 2026? And for years, leasing commercial space felt like the safe decision. With lower upfront cost, flexibility, and fewer responsibilities, made it appealing, especially during uncertain markets. But as we move into 2026, the math for many business owners is changing. With higher lease renewals, tighter space availability in key submarkets, and improving access to owner user financing, are pushing more businesses to ask a critical question. Does it finally make sense to buy instead of to lease? And the answer is, for many operators, increasingly yes. And if the strategy is right, is the other caveat. So, why 2026 is a turning point for owner users? Well, there have been several macro and market specific trends, and those are all converging. And lease rates reset faster than debt does. And interest rates are stabilizing, not spiking. And owner user loan programs remain underutilized. And there's supply constraints in industrial, medical, and flex space. So, unlike tenants, owner users can lock in long term occupancy costs, build equity, and control their operating environment, all while benefiting from tax advantaged financing. So, buying versus leasing, the real cost comparison. And when evaluating lease renewals versus ownership, many business owners overlook three critical factors. Number one being rent increases are permanent. Lease escalations compound, and a 3.5% annual increase becomes a major expense line item over a 10 to 15-year horizon. And SBA debt is predictable. So programs like SBA 504 and SBA 7A allow long-term amortization with fixed or semi-fixed rates, often with as little as 10% down. And three, equity replaces rent. Instead of paying a landlord, a portion of every payment builds balance sheet equity. And in many cases, ownership cash flow is comparable or even lower than market rent by year two or three. So, who should strongly consider buying in 2026? Well, ownership is not for every business. However, 2026 is especially favorable for medical practices, so doctors and dentists at clinics, trades and service companies, so HVAC, electrical, plumbing, but also professional firms like law, accounting, and engineering, but also light industrial and logistics users, and businesses with 5+ years of operating history. And if your business plans to stay in one location for 7 to 10 years, ownership should be analyzed pretty seriously. So, financing options business owners are using today. The most common owner user capital stack will include an SBA 504 loan with 10% down and longer term fixed rate on the CDC portion. And it's ideal for stable owner occupied properties. Or SBA 7A loans. So it's a more flexible use, but also for purchase and renovation and expansion. It's great for mixed use or specialized properties. But there's also bank and credit union owner user loans where you have a little bit more competitive rates for strong borrowers and often paired with local relationship banking. So they want you to move money. A properly structured loan often matters more than the purchase price itself. So let's look at some risks to evaluate before you buy. Ownership brings advantages, but it also brings responsibility. And some key considerations will include the maintenance costs and capital reserves you need to budget for, property management, if even for a single tenant property, but also your exit liquidity and resale timing, and also zoning and expansion limitations. And this is where advisory guidance, not just brokerage, becomes critical. So the strategic question for 2026. The real question is not, can my business buy a building? It is, does owning real estate strengthen or weaken my operating position over the next decade? And I can help you answer that. And in 2026, with improving capital certainty and persistent rent pressure, ownership is becoming a competitive advantage and not just a real estate decision. So if you're considering buying, selling, leasing, or financing a commercial property in Houston or West Houston, the conversation should start now and not at your lease expiration. That's it for the day. Have a good one. Please visit HoustonRealEstateBrokerage.com to figure out how to get a hold of me. I'd love to talk more. Take care.